second in touchdowns with 38, second in yards with 4,944, but number one with a passing rating of 117. Pro Bowl selection for the fourth time. 2016 NFL Offensive Player of the Year, and also, as John mentioned earlier, 2016 NFL Most Valuable Player Award was given to Matt Ryan. But the most important award for me that Matt received was when his team nominated him to be the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award for representing the Atlanta Falcons. This award exemplifies excellence on the field and off the field. When you look at Matt's charities, he works with a number of different children's charities. That's why he's such a great tie for the Press Radio Club. But the largest of all is the Children's Healthcare Atlanta, specifically the Aflac Cancer and Blood Disorder Centers. Matt has raised a significant amount of money for them, hosting the annual celebrity golf outing, and for hosting a dinner that's called Dinner for Two with Number Two. And Matt took part in the NFL My Cause Please social campaign, where he once again brought attention to the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the table, to the podium, Matt Ryan of the Atlanta Falcons.
MVP! 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 Matty Ice, baby!
All right, as we get set up for the moment you've been waiting for, the question and answer session, and they'll be doing this, get the two chairs out here, and go ahead and start setting up. I want to introduce my friend Scott Petoniak. We have worked together many, many years back when I was doing sports. Scott is not just one of the most accomplished sports writers in our community, but really in our country. He has won over 100 national and regional journalistic awards. Hard to believe in your 44th year of writing, which is just remarkable. 25 of those coming at the Democrat and Chronicle. He has authored numerous books. It says 20 here. I do believe it's a little more than that. And one of the true class acts of our industry, of our business. The thing I miss most about doing sports after 30 years is doing those weekly Buffalo Bills shows that we were pushing around the state. One of these years, my friend, they're going to get back to the playoffs, right? And you get to talk about the playoff team. But we're going to hear from a Super Bowl quarterback right now, Matt Ryan with Scott Petoniak.
Podium here. Thanks so much, John, and I miss working with you too. The Bills will go to the playoffs again. I'm just not a great player. Speaking of the Bills, Matt, John had mentioned that the schedule's out, and it looked, and you guys are playing the Bills this year, and week 4, the Buffalo Bills go to Atlanta and play with that new stadium. So that'll be one day probably, unfortunately, they won't be rooting for me.
I understand why. I don't know if anybody saw me, but I was the one checking my phone underneath us.
Got you.
We play week 4 right before a bye. It'll always be a tough game. I was saying before to a number of people here, though, Buffalo is the only stadium that I have not played in the NFL in. So the time that we played Buffalo on the road, we played in the International Series and we played them in Toronto. So I got to play a number of more years, 8 more years to get back here. So I play in Ralph Wilson, which would be cool.
You know, Bills fans remember that too, man, because
Cut 'em off.
it was not a particularly good weather day in Buffalo, and they were hoping for that home field advantage. And of course, you played in Southern Dome.
Yeah, we had
and you guys won.
We did. It wasn't really a bad year for the organization, but it was one for us in Toronto.
No.
I want to start out going back to something you wrote in your high school yearbook, which really, when I came across it, I think it speaks legions about you and the type of person you are. And you wrote in your yearbook, "Pop, thank you for your support and your advice. I'll always remember how to play with a bat, a ball, and a glove, not my mouth." Talk a little bit about that influence, and that's kind of been a mantra, you know, let your
Yeah, for sure. So growing up, I was really close with my mom's father, so my grandfather on my mom's side, and I'll just remember when I was young, we would go down to the Jersey Shore for the summer, and we had kind of this house that had 4 different spots, and my grandparents were in one of the little apartments, we were in one apartment, I had some cousins and others, and we would be playing wiffle ball, whatever. And as a young kid, I was pretty cocky and would talk trash or whatever out on the yard or wherever we were playing in the street. And my grandfather would come out all the time and he'd be like, "Man, knock it off, man. You got to play with a bat ball and a glove, not your mouth." And so he hammered it into my head. As I got older, I think I understood that, and I believe in it. I believe in going out there and letting your actions speak for what you do.
You mentioned your maternal grandfather. We should point out World War II veteran, survivor of Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, so a stud, great guy, and obviously to all the people that have served, we have so much respect for what you do. But my grandfather was a part of the Pacific in World War II, and certainly proud of his serving our country.
Brian Gianta's parents had this incredible streak going on where they didn't miss his games. They went all over, every place to see him play. And I think that's part of the commitment that parents show. And I know that when I was talking to you on the phone last week, you had mentioned that same thing with your parents and your father in particular, that sometimes it's not necessarily like words of wisdom that they give you, but it's actions.
Yeah, for sure. My dad he's made almost every game I've played in the NFL. It's a lot easier than in Brian's case, where they played a lot more games, so I give you guys a lot of credit. We're once a week, which is a little bit easier for 16 weeks out of the year. But my dad, really, he's made just about every game, save a few, in the NFL. There's one place he doesn't go is New Orleans, and New Orleans is our big rival. And it can be tough down there. I don't think the New Orleans fans like me too much, so that's one of the few places that he doesn't like to go.
I should mention, this isn't your first time that you've been in the Rochester area. There was a player from the Rochester area by the name of Ryan Poles.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about Ryan at BC.
Yeah, so Ryan was my roommate for 4 years at Boston College. Ryan grew up in the Canandaigua area, and he's one of my best friends. He works for the Kansas City Chiefs now as a scout. Great guy. We used to come back here during the summer, visit the Finger Lakes a little bit. I came to his wedding, gosh, it's probably 5 or 6 years ago now. But I was the best man in his wedding over in Canandaigua, and certainly a great place to come to during the summer. The weather's phenomenal up here.
You want to talk to you a little bit, growing up in the Philadelphia area, obviously a great sports area, a very demanding sports area. Tell me about following Philly teams growing up.
Yeah, it's a great sports town. If you're from there, if you're not from there, it's a horrible sports town. I've learned that, now having gone and played against the Eagles a number of times. They're tough, they're really tough. But I think it taught me one thing, to kind of, you have that, tough exterior, to not really let what people say get to you, and to kind of keep your guard up and make sure that you're just worrying about, the things that are important. And I think growing up in an area like that probably benefited me a lot.
Although you grew up rooting for Philly teams and stuff, the quarterback that you loved growing up was a guy by the name of
Brett Favre. He was the man when I was growing up. He was just so much fun to watch. And you'd be in the backyard trying to recreate what he was doing to no success. I mean, he's the only guy that can do that. It's funny though, I idolized him growing up, and I play absolutely nothing like him. So it's funny how that works out.
Now, you go to William Penn Charter School, and I'm just blown away when I was doing research. Penn Charter was founded, if my math is right, and I'm a reporter, so sometimes math we're challenged a little bit, but 328 years ago, his high school was founded. That's 87 years before we declared our independence from Great Britain. That'd be pretty cool to go to a school that old.
Yeah, there's a lot of history there. So it was founded in 1689, and that's something that they kind of never let you forget. When you're there. But it's a place with a lot of tradition. Small school. My graduating class was probably 82, something like that. Co-ed. So it was a super small school. You knew everybody there, but it was a great education. Really prepared me well for Boston College, and I enjoyed my experience there.
Now, you're a three-sport captain there, football, baseball, and basketball. We know how football has turned out for you. Ever any interest in the other sports, like wanting to pursue that maybe professionally?
Professionally, not so much, but I wanted to pursue it. People didn't want to pursue me. That was kind of the way it worked in basketball and baseball. You know, I wish I could have, but probably wasn't good enough in those sports. But football ended up working out. But I loved playing all sports growing up. You know, I think it's really good. I think today a lot of people get specialized at a super young age. And I was so happy that I was able to play football, basketball, and baseball all the way through because, you know, I would have never had those experiences if I specialized at a young age.
I wanted to get into that with you because it has become a more and more problem now. Like from an early age, like somebody gets identified, well, this is your sport, and won't let you play other sports. Talk a little bit about how, like, it's number one, it's a relief from one sport, and each sport helps the others.
Yeah, I think you should compete all year long. I think, you know, when you're playing other sports, you learn a lot about competition, which I think is really the most important part of athletics. You got to learn how to compete. But at the same time, I didn't start playing quarterback until 8th grade. And so I started playing football in 2nd grade, played all kinds of different positions. And had I tried to specialize in 6th or 7th grade playing tight end, it wouldn't have worked out so well. So, you know, it was a good thing for me to keep playing all those things. I felt like, you know, I improved my athleticism playing basketball, you know, was keeping my arm in shape playing baseball. You know, so I really think there's a lot of value to it.
When did football start emerging as, you know, the leading sport for you?
Probably after my sophomore year in high school. You know, I started in all three sports as a sophomore, and probably coming into high school, I thought basketball was my best sport. But after my sophomore year of football, you know, I started to get a lot of letters from colleges, started to get recruited in a lot of different parts of the country, and thought, you know, this might be the route that I want to go. And you know, but I kept playing all three of those, and just figured that football was going to work out for me, and luckily it ended up, you know, working out right.
Now, we're just down the road from Division I football, Syracuse University. Did they show any interest at all in recruiting you?
Not really. You know, not really. Syracuse wasn't one of the places that did recruit me at the time. Most of my interest was in the Big East at the time, but not from Syracuse. You know, so it was Big East and Big Ten was basically where I got recruited.
Was it disappointing at all? Because being in Philly, obviously they had a Syracuse University quarterback who turned out pretty good for the Eagles and Donovan McNabb.
Yeah, Donovan got drafted while I was, I think, in 8th grade, 7th or 8th grade, and so I was a fan of his in his first, you know, number of years with Philadelphia. And, you know, to a little bit, you'd love to kind of, you know, I watched him play at Syracuse and dominate and see how good he was, but it just, you know, it didn't end up working out. I'm really happy with how it shook out for me at college. Tonight's a pretty cool night with Brian being from BC as well. Pretty cool night for Boston College.
Let's talk about why Boston College, like why did they win out over some of the other schools?
Yeah, so for me, the recruiting process really came down to Boston College and Iowa, which were two wildly different places. You know, BC is just on the outskirts of Boston, and you know, more of an urban environment, kind of contained. The campus is contained, but closer to the cities. And Iowa was kind of out in the middle of nowhere. Both had great coaching staffs, felt really comfortable at both places, but just felt like, you know, BC was a little bit closer to home, a little bit easier for my family to you know, be able to come to games, and it's, you know, it was an unbelievable school. So it came down to those two spots, and you know, I couldn't have chosen a better place to go.
Now, this, I mentioned, obviously you're in the heart of Bill's country here, and a BC guy who became a star, revived his career, was one Doug Flutie, whose records you went on to break. Tell us about the relationship with Doug Flutie at Boston College.
Yeah, I got to know Doug really well while I was in school. He was around campus quite a bit. My wife played basketball at BC. Doug would play with the women's basketball team quite a bit. He would play hoops with them quite a bit. He was a good player. So we both got to know Doug really well. He was incredibly supportive of me during my time there, and I'm just a big fan of his.
Let's talk a little bit about how things unfolded for you. Did you start right away, or did you have to redshirt?
Yeah, I didn't. I redshirted my first year at BC, and I was a backup my second year until Paul Peterson, our starting quarterback, got hurt. I think heading into our last regular season game, so my first start, you Syracuse fans here will be happy to hear this. My first start was against Syracuse at BC. We were in the Big East at the time. If we would have won the game, we would have won the Big East outright, and we would have went to the Fiesta Bowl, I think. So we would have went to a BCS game. And I came in and threw 3 or 4 picks in the first half. We lost like 52-21, something like that. We got blown out. So my experience against Syracuse wasn't all that great, but came back and battled it out in my sophomore year, started halfway through that, and then started the rest of my time at BC.
Now, you said you were moderately recruited out of high school, but that wasn't the case in the NFL. I mean, you go fairly high, third in the draft and so forth. Talk about, again, being in the heart of Bills territory. Did the Bills show any interest at all?
Yeah, you know what, the Bills did not. So at the time,
Okay. This is a quarterback close here.
they were drafting a little bit later in the draft that year, and you know, so from where, as the season ended, where I was slated to get drafted, the Bills weren't really in contention at that point, and so you know, I never really met with anybody from Buffalo or anything like that.
Let's talk about Atlanta and how that's worked out, obviously, tremendously well for you. You've become the greatest quarterback in Falcons history. Tell us about your years and the transition to professional football.
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, I think for anybody transitioning, you know, whether you're transitioning from high school to college or college to the NFL, the transition can be difficult. You know, I was surrounded by really good players when I got there, and that helped so much. I mean, we had a wide receiver in Roddy White who was, you know, from the year before I got there until 5 years into my career, he was a Pro Bowler every year. And so I was fortunate to play around him. In my second season, Hall of Famer Tony Gonzalez comes in at tight end.
You know, you reach your full potential there. What was it about the season with you individually and with the Falcons?
Well, I think it's, you know, I think it takes some time to figure out what works best for you. And throughout my career, you know, you're constantly, you know, figuring out, do I take rest at this time? Do I work at this time? And I feel like I really got to a good place. I was comfortable with my routine. Felt really good about it. And then, you know, was in a system, was in an offensive system that I felt like catered to my strengths. And, you know, I could get outside the pocket a little bit, throw the ball down the field, use quick game, do all the things that I feel like I do really well. And again, be surrounded by great players. When you've got a wide receiver like Julio Jones, it makes life a lot easier. And so, again, I'm very fortunate to play around great players.
So you take the team to the Super Bowl, and
Shut the
how many
fuck up.
minutes into the series before you bring up the Super Bowl, you get up 25 points. You guys are playing great, and then it doesn't turn out the way you wanted to. You know, you less than 24 hours or 48 hours, you came back and you looked at that film. A lot of people would say, like, what are you, a masochist or whatever? But you needed to do that. You know, that was the way you were going to handle it. Tell us why that quickly you needed to go back and look at that film.
Well, I think every athlete has their own way of processing wins or losses. And for me, you know, my normal routine is after we play a Sunday game is to get back in there Monday and to go through the film, evaluate what we did well, what we didn't do well, make some notes for what we would like to do different the next time we go out there. And it was no different than that. The sting is probably a little bit harder because of everything that's on the line. But I truly believe that we're going to be back there. And we've got the people in our locker room, we've got the coaches on our staff, we've got the right people in place that we're going to be back in that situation. And I want to make sure that I'm as prepared as I can be for the next time we're there so that we come out with a different result.
But yeah, it's got to be variable. Like, you know, like Jim Boeheim, I know, like after the 1987 NCAA championship game, they lose on a last-second jumper, and he, to this day, he's never watched that tape. Many of the Buffalo Bills I covered during the Super Bowl years have never watched a tape of those games, particularly Super Bowl 25 when they lose in the last seconds and stuff. There had to be some emotions, though, right? Early on, like looking at that film, it's not like I can just be analytical and detached, right?
Yeah, I think the first time I went through it was probably the most, you know, emotional. Where like, man, we had this opportunity, we had chances here, we had chances in the second half, we didn't make the plays. So that first time through is kind of, you know, you're dealing with your emotions. I think the second time through for me was more of, okay, you've had this time to kind of collect yourself. Now let's watch it. Let's analyze what we can do better. And again, that's just part of my process. I kind of understand everybody can go about it differently, but that's just the way I chose to go about it.
So, you're up by 25. You got to be feeling awfully good at that point, right? I mean, what's going through your mind is little by little by little, this is further away.
Yeah, I think, when you're in those situations, I think everybody in sports has been in that situation. For us, it just happened to be, in the biggest game. As a player, when you're on the bench, you're thinking, all right, I need to make this one play. So the first play that we go out there,
Julio did
sure
it.
that the next year is the first place of success. I thought we did that. we kind of had a great drive late into the fourth quarter, and we got the ball down to about the 25-yard line or 22-yard line, something along those lines. We made the plays that we needed to. We kind of backed ourselves up with some self-inflicted wounds. After that, moved ourselves out of field goal range. But those are the things that you look at. You got to be proud of the way that we competed. We got ourselves into those situations. We just need to clean up those few little things to make sure that we finish the way that we want to.
I know this is difficult because, like, with every collapse, there's also a comeback on the other side.
Sure.
I mean, we can look at it, well, the Falcons collapsed. But we also can look at it like you're going against a guy who probably is the greatest quarterback of all time and at his best, right? I mean, to talk a little bit about that.
I mean, Tom is as good as it gets. I don't think if there's a lot of Buffalo Bills fans in here, I think you guys know that. You see him twice a year. He's pretty good. And he makes a lot of plays, and he has a lot of fourth quarter comebacks. I mean, he really is. He's a tremendous competitor, great player. You know that, and he did some great things in that game. You don't want to take away any shine from what he did. I mean, he played really well in the second half of that game.
And we're real big on sportsmanship, and this is a lot of what these young athletes are about, and these coaches and so forth. And, to me, it was a tremendous act of sportsmanship after you suffered this heartbreaking loss, that you decided to go through that media scrum, all this chaos on the field, to go over and shake hands with Tom Brady. Again, if you had decided to make a beeline to the locker room, nobody would have thought anything of it, waited and congratulated him later, whatever, but you decided to do it right then. Why?
Well, I think there's kind of an unwritten code in football that after games, quarterbacks shake each other's hands, and that's been the way it's been for my entire career. So every game that I've played in, in my 9-year career, you find the quarterback on the other side, you shake hands after the game, you go your separate ways. That was just part of it. I just, felt like it was the right thing to do at the time. Go over, say congratulations, great job, and then, go on my way. And I know Tom pretty well, and so, we kind of connected after to really catch up. But I just felt like it was the right thing to do at the time.
You had an opportunity to get back on the field. This week, you got some organized team activities and stuff where you get back officially. But you guys got together last week in Florida. Players arranged this. This was on your own, about 40 guys, and you show up in Miami. Talk about that, getting guys together.
Yeah, I thought, it was something that we did last year. We started last year where we took about 25 guys last year, specifically skill positions, so wide receivers, running backs, tight ends, and defensive backs. We all went to Miami to throw, for 3 or 4 days, just to kind of connect, knock the rust off before we got started, and really to start to bond and to make that connection in our locker room a little bit tighter. This year we decided to include some more people, so we included offensive line, defensive line, linebackers, and it was a lot of fun. We had a good time getting together. I think when you play in a game like we did at the end of the season, thank you very much, appreciate that. When you play in a game like we did at the end of the season, the best tonic is to get back at it. And it was a good opportunity for us to get back started maybe a week earlier than we normally would have, make our focus on what's in front of us. And I felt like the spirit, the attitude of the guys down there It was fun to be around. I'm very optimistic and very excited about what we have moving forward.
You mentioned about the Bills and, their team, you talked about resiliency and coming back. We'll always admire, even though they didn't win any of them, to keep coming back, to keep coming back, to keep coming back. And I remember after that Super Bowl 25,
Excited about, what's in front of us, but also have the mindset that, we're not playing the Super Bowl week one. We've got a lot of work to do before that. We've got a lot of games to win before we get to that point. So I think our focus has kind of shifted back to taking care of our division and owning our division. And that's kind of the mindset that I think works best for us.
you look at, I mentioned Tom Brady, he's going to be 40 years old. He's playing at this superb level as well as he's ever played. You look at Peyton Manning, he played well into his late 30s. He threw for 5,000 yards, I think he was 38 years old, and 50 touchdown passes or more. Does that encourage you? Because you're a young guy. You're going to be 32 years old next month. I mean, is that encouraging you? Like, hey, I could have another 8, 9, 10 years here if everything's okay.
Well,
not getting hurt.
Yeah, I mean, I heard Brian talk about it earlier. He wants another 3-year deal right now. I've got 2 years left on mine. I'd love to have another 3, 5, 10-year deal after that. I'll play as long as I can. And I really think with the way that the rules in the NFL have changed, particularly around the quarterback, it's leading to more longevity for our position. I also think that when you look at, how much sports science has changed, nutrition, training, the way that you take care of your body, there's no reason to, if you want to not be able to play that long if you don't get injured. And so, knock on wood, hopefully I can stay healthy and play for Atlanta for a long, long time.
We've heard a lot about Tom Brady and his diet and nutrition and everything else, and his off-season workouts. I mean, everything is devoted to. I'm not going to do that because that could affect my football playing or whatever. Do you follow a really strict diet or anything, or off-season program?
Yeah, I don't think mine's quite as strict as Tom's, but for sure, we absolutely, are providing really, really good information within our organization on how to eat healthy, how to put the right things into your body to avoid, inflammation, which is key in our line of work. But yeah, I take pretty good care of myself. I try to. I think it's really important, especially if you want to play late into your career.
You in Atlanta this year, you're going to have a brand new stadium. Have you had a chance to get inside there? And does that excite you to go into a new place other than the Georgia Dome, or it doesn't matter to you?
No, it's exciting. I think it's exciting to be a part of it. You can tell our city is on fire right now. We just opened up. I guess that's a bad use of word because we just burnt down a bridge.
We'll erase that.
But there's a buzz in the city right now that is contagious. We just opened up a new stadium for the Atlanta Braves, SunTrust Park, which I haven't been to yet, but has looked amazing on TV. And then the Mercedes-Benz Stadium opens up this fall, which is going to be awesome to be in that new stadium, to see the atmosphere that the fans in Atlanta will create. I'm excited about it. I think the whole city is.
And that you get to open on national television in that game, so it's going to be
That's
against
it.
the Packers.
Yeah, Sunday night game against the Packers. We saw the Packers twice last year. We played them in the NFC Championship game, so it'll be a good rematch, I guess, of sorts to start with them at home.
Your team, you've got a good young team with a lot of playmakers. That's got to make you feel encouraged too about the chance to go back and finish the job.
Yeah, I am. I'm very encouraged. I think you mentioned some of our young guys. Obviously Julio Jones is a household name and a superstar. He's a phenomenal player. We also have two young running backs, in Devontae Freeman, who's made the Pro Bowl the last 2 years. We have a guy, Tevin Coleman, who I think is on the brink of just taking off. He's a great player, incredibly athletic. At our other wide receiver positions, we've got Mohamed Sanu, who's a good player for us. Taylor Gabriel, who came on last year. He had a phenomenal season for us. So we've got a lot of really good players. that mesh well, that work well together. So that's what makes me optimistic.
You know, we talk about the Bills' new coach and Sean McDermott. You have some familiarity with him. What do you think about him?
Yeah, I think it's a really good hire for Buffalo. Sean was the defensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers, who was in our division. We play them twice a year. And they've had one of the best defenses in the league for the last 4 or 5 years. So I wasn't too sad to see
We
them
lead
leave.
500, 300 yards on them
Go
last
for-
year,
for all
so
those
that's
years.
all encouraging.
Unfortunately, Carolina still has some really good players, so that makes it tough. But I think Sean will do a great job here in Buffalo. I know he's very organized, detailed, disciplined, and I think that'll show up in their teams.
Matty Ice, the nickname, one of the coolest unintended nicknames in sports. How did it come about?
You know what? It started when I was in high school, and there's no really good story behind it. It started when I was in high school. Some of the guys thought it sounded cool, and it stuck. And I didn't think anything of it when I graduated high school. I was like, all right, that part of my life is done. And then I got to BC, and some of my high school buddies came up to visit, and my teammates at the time at BC heard it, and they were like, man, we got to go with that. And it just stuck. And now that's kind of what everybody that meets me calls me.
What does Matt Ryan do to get away from the game?
I like to play golf. That's one of the things I like to do during the off season. For me, it's perfect. It's 4 hours, where you're out. I can put my cell phone away, be with whatever group I'm with. The climate in Europe is a little bit different, just the way of the world at this point. But we love to go international as well, see different places. There's amazing places to see here in the United States too. We just kind of like to take 1 or 2 different spots every year and try and go see them.
Now, John Kelly mentioned in the intro about your extensive involvement in community service programs and stuff. Talk about some of the things that are close to your heart.
Well, for my wife and I, in the Atlanta community, we've been partnered up with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta for really our entire time we've been down in Atlanta, which is coming up on 10 years. And we've run a golf tournament that has run for the last 7 years, which after this, we had it a couple of weeks ago in April, the Monday after the Masters. And after this year, we'll have raised over $950,000 for the Aflac Cancer Center the Aflac Cancer Center in Children's Healthcare in the hospitals in Atlanta. And it's just something. When I got drafted, about 3 weeks after I got drafted, community relations for the Falcons asked me to do a hospital visit. And so I went with my jersey on, met some of the kids, nurses, doctors, and left the hospital and was like, all right, how can I help? You see what the children are going through at that time. You see what the families that are there that they were going through. You see what the doctors and nurses are going through. And I just felt like, it was an opportunity and a part of our community that could use help. And it's worked out really well for the last 9 years.
And you also gave scholarships to your high school alma mater.
Yeah, so my wife and myself, my wife does it for Catherine McCauley High School in Portland, Maine. So my wife is from Portland, Maine. She is actually going into the Maine State Hall of Fame here in 3 weeks, which is exciting, and we'll be up in Maine for that. But we have a scholarship program for one student each year at her high school. And then with my high school, the NFL does an unbelievable match program for the football program. And so we've been lucky enough to be able to donate and get matched a lot of money for the football program at my high school, which I'm very proud of.
And you saw tonight a big part of our dinner is honoring young athletes here. What message could you give these people who are where you were 10, 15 years ago? What message would you give them?
Enjoy the ride, one. I mean, because it's a lot of fun. I mean, to sit up here and to hear everybody's story tonight as an outsider in the Rochester community is really, really cool. There's a lot of special people. There's a lot of special athletes. and it seems like a very special community too to celebrate it the way that it has. So, number one, enjoy the ride because it goes by really quickly. And then number two is if you're serious about it, really chase your dream. You know, really go after it, make the commitment to be successful and to do what it takes. And I think if you enjoy it, you put everything you have into it, you leave yourself with no regrets. And I think ultimately, you know, whether it's in sports or in life, I think that's important.
Well, Matt, we really, really appreciate you coming up and being a part of our dinner. And you'll have to come back to Rochester because you talked about golf, and I know you want to play Oak Hill.
Got to, yeah. And I've got to get up here when there's a little bit of warm weather and go play Oak Hill.
And we introduced you to Johnny Antonelli before, and Johnny's a member there, and I'm sure that a World Series fellow there could get you on that course.
I love it. I'll take him up on that. That's for sure.
Thanks so much, Matt.
MVP! MVP! MVP!